Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a wonderful day inside of the wonderful podcast, Tooth and Claw. And we have our wonderful wildlife biologist, Wes Larson, with us. How you doing today, Wes?
I'm good. It's late June. Things are wonderful.
That's wonderful. And I'm Wes's little brother, Jeff, and I've been doing good, too. And we got Mike Smith with us. I saw Disclosure Day yesterday.
Oh, what'd you think?
They disclosed some information at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who did?
The actors,
Several
the people.
Okay. Yeah, don't spoil it, actually.
Yeah.
That was close.
Mike, you saw Masters of the Universe?
I sure did.
How was that?
It was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Mike was saying it needed to be a little longer.
Holy cow. Why was that movie like 3 hours long? That didn't need to be the
that's too
case.
long for that movie.
The jokes landed at about a 5% rate.
Yeah, that is about what I'd expect.
Wasn't super great, but at a certain point, you just have to realize that movie maybe isn't made for you quite.
What was that movie a while ago where there's someone online that said like there wasn't a single joke in the movie and it was like a really serious movie? And that was their big complaint. I feel like it was like the Batman or
Schindler's
something.
List or something.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, this movie sucked. There wasn't a single joke."
Schindler's List, like, if you put a joke in that movie, it could really hit, Like, you could put a good joke.
That's a high risk, high reward kind of joke. Yeah.
My main thing with Disclosure Day is, like, Steven Spielberg is maybe the best example of a director using visual effects to their benefit and just creating works of art with T-Rex, sharks, all that, It's like his AI animals suck.
Yeah, that killed me. Just the trailer, seeing the deer, I was like, I can't. I don't think I'm gonna like
every
this.
single hair is like perfect and it's like lit up all weird and I don't know. Like you're supposed to be good at this, dude.
Did he use AI or was it CG?
Yeah.
He used AI?
Or I don't know what the difference of AI and CG is.
AI is like an artist doesn't make it, a computer makes it. CG, and us like CG artist creates it. Spielberg's
been using AI since forever ago. That Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah. He might be my GOAT. I've been thinking about it lately. I think it's either Spielberg or Ridley Scott, but I think it's Spielberg.
Jeff is more of a Tony Scott than a Ridley guy.
I
think
was
that's
going to
pretty
ask
fun.
you guys that actually, because I started watching Deja Vu the other night, and I was like, Tony Scott has some movies that have some juice. Like he's got some good movies.
True Romance, Crimson Tide, Top Gun.
So my question for you was going to be, and it sounds like Jeff, I don't even have to add the extra.
I don't know I don't know if Mike's serious about that or not.
I'm not sure if I am either.
I was going to say, if you could take either all of Ridley Scott's movies or Tony Scott's movies and Quentin Tarantino's movies, who would you pick?
Ridley by a mile.
Me too.
Very comfortably and easily for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd take Tony and Quentin.
Yeah. All right.
Good question, Wes.
Thanks.
Wow.
When'd you come up with that one?
Because, they both did True Romance together. And then it just made me think like, wow, Tony Scott and Ridley Scott are so different. But Tony Scott has some bangers.
It's a fact.
Unstoppable
is a good film.
He's dead, right?
He did. He jumped from off of a bridge due to, who I don't want to psychoanalyze, but that's a really interesting medical sordid history. Like misprescribed drugs and dosages and
I
stuff.
thought you were talking about jumping off the bridge.
That is
interesting medical,
not a complicated diagnosis there, but not to make light of it, but
yeah.
We did.
We lost a legend, a living legend,
Well, speaking of legends, Mike, you did our episode today?
Yes, sir.
Legend.
And you, oh man, that was such an appropriate segue, Jeff, in so many ways. Because I assume that the legend you're referring to wasn't me. It was the subject of today's episode, right?
It's a lot of things. You were in there. You're a legend. You're becoming one.
Thank you. I'm an aspiring legend, a legend in training. I'm like a Padawan. I need one of those little rat tail braids that dangles over my shoulder.
Watch out for Anakin.
I wanted to start this episode in a way that would really get Wes going, though.
Ooh.
And stop me when you know who this quote is attributed to. Either one of you. Quote, "And some things that should not have been forgotten were lost."
Stop. Gandalf.
Close. History became legend. Legend became myth.
Oh,
for 2,500 years.
Galadriel.
Galadriel.
Help him out, Wes. Galadriel. She's got like a thick butt on Instagram.
That was one part.
You know Galadriel had it going on, though.
Caked up.
Had to have.
Jeff's answer was one part impressive, one part like really disappointing.
You did great. That was actually, I was expecting Wes to swoop in quick, but
Jeff's better at quotes than I am, and he always has been. Like, he's good at remembering that kind of stuff.
I didn't know that.
What do you mean?
I didn't think I was good at quotes.
You are. You're better at remembering sayings and quotes than I am.
Wes, what movie is this one from? But they will remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans.
Don't forget the Titans.
Someone sent me this clip that was like this guy being like, guess the movie. And then it's Richard Hammond or Dr. Hammond being like, welcome to Jurassic Park.
Well, that could be any number of Jurassic Park movies. So, okay. So now that we got Wes all hot underneath the collar, I did actually think about you a lot while preparing this episode, Wes, because there was a time on this very podcast when you talked about all those bugs you used to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you gave us a number that truly shocked me. You said up to hundreds per day you would eat bugs.
Yeah.
And that was like unbelievable, but not to the point where it was just like beyond belief, you know? I could see a day in which that was possible for you. And I don't know. Maybe it was that many. Maybe you were eating hundreds of bugs per day and I just don't know ball like that.
Joey Chestnut of bugs over here.
Yeah. Bugs are small. You can pack in a lot of bugs.
Right.
They're hard to catch.
Like an ant is a bug.
You just put like a straw in an anthill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what made you the GOAT, is you could catch them so well.
I could catch them and I could eat them.
Well, like a lot of monster stories, it can be hard to figure out what's all the way true and what's maybe a little embellished with the subject of today's episode. But even if the very lowest estimates of how many people he killed are to be believed, there's one Nile crocodile that solidified himself as one of the deadliest individual animals ever.
Wow.
But before we can get into his legend, we need to set the historical stage. Since the state of the world for both when and where this crocodile lived made for a perfect storm that vaulted him into near mythological status to this day. And who knows? Maybe everything that's been said about him actually is true. All these numbers people toss around could be accurate, and we don't even need to try to explain the myth away. But maybe we can deliberate by the time we finish the episode. But first, let's talk about the Burundi Civil War. And I'm going to get through this part pretty quickly, so forgive me if I eschew any nuance that's due to what I'm sure is like a very complicated political situation. But on July 1st, 1962, Burundi, and if you want to know where Burundi is, it's East Africa, nestled between the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda up to the north, Kenya to the east. So like,
oh, well, what if I didn't want to know where it was?
Spoiler alert. Hold on. Put a spoiler alert in there, Bill.
Isn't it pretty close to like all the big lakes too, like Lake Victoria and stuff?
Very close to Victoria, and right alongside, that's actually a good shout because we'll get to the name of the lake pretty soon here, Tanganyika, which is where a lot of the story will be taking place. But landlocked, Eastern Central Africa. On July 1st, 1962, Burundi gained its independence from Belgium, thus ending decades of European colonial administration and beginning a long and tumultuous period of ethnic conflict. 30 years later in 1993, Wes.
Mm-hmm. What month? Are we pre-JP or post-JP?
I should have done a better job here.
It's all right.
Figuring out the exact month.
That's year one, though. That's year one.
In 1993, 30 years after gaining its independence, the leader of the Hutu-dominated Front for Democracy won the first democratic election for the country of Burundi. But after only 3 months in office, he was assassinated in a failed military coup. The country fell into an incredibly violent civil war that lasted until 2005 and claimed the lives of some 300,000 Burundi citizens. In those years, 1993 to 2005, that'll be important to keep in mind.
Okay.
In fact, Jeff, let's do a quick, was Jeff paying attention?
Shit.
What years did the Burundi Civil War take
1994 to 1995.
So close.
I can do it. You want
Wes,
me to?
would you?
93 to 2005.
Perfect.
And that guy was in power for 3 months.
3 months.
He had a good run.
Good run there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was our president? Was it Polk? Or no, Garfield was just like smoked. The U.S. president after just like a couple of weeks or something.
Was he killed? Yeah.
There's one president who won, and then he didn't wear a jacket, and it was like rained on him, and he said, I don't need a jacket, and he was so excited to win president, and then he like got sick from getting rained on and died.
One of our presidents?
Yeah.
Huh.
Speaking of presidents of the United States, did you know that Shadow the Hedgehog once tried to assassinate the president, I guess? That's something I learned recently.
I didn't know that.
Who's Shadow the Hedgehog?
Like a villain / hero. He's like one of the ones that is bad but then becomes good. Yeah. He's in Sonic 3.
Is that true?
The movie. Yeah.
Oh, the movie. Sure. Okay.
What
movies are good.
The video game?
The video game. That was Knuckles. Sonic and Knuckles was.
Yeah. Have you guys seen those movies?
I saw the first one.
They're kind of fun.
It's all right.
I like the original Sonic more.
With the weird teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Stuck with that.
Just to finish this little historical section off real quick, as if nature were a reflection of the humans inhabiting it, this decade of turmoil and death lined up nearly perfectly with what some describe as one of the single most prolific, quote, serial killers that the animal kingdom has ever produced. So the sources I'm going to cite pretty heavily from here on are a PBS documentary called Capturing the Killer Croc. Really good stuff. There's a really succinctly organized YouTube video from a channel called Dinzo that I found to be very useful. So check that out if you're looking to have like some visual aids to go along with the story. But I added a lot. I did a lot more than just that guy. Trust me.
Great.
So don't just like leave here and go there. And then also a really nice little podcast called Ghoulish Tendencies had an episode called Gustave the Killer Croc. And again, that was just like a very useful aid in, laying out the framework for this episode. So shout out those women over at Ghoulish Tendencies.
But also listen to us.
Don't listen to them.
They're cool and all, but...
But also just listen to this.
Right. The year was 1987, Wes.
Yeah, 6 years pre-JP.
That was the year when the first wanted posters went up in western Burundi villages lining the northern coast of Lake Tanganyika. The word spread, disappearances increased, and it wasn't long until the whispers of a giant crocodile instilled fear in anyone who lived close to that stretch of the Rusizi River that it called home. 10 years later, 1997. That would be.
That's when Lost World came out.
You think you could say the word Tyrannosaurus Rex in 87, Wes?
In 87? Yeah, for sure. Whoa. I was 4 years old, so I was already like fully dinosaur pilled by that point.
That would be a big pill.
Yeah.
Hopefully not a suppository, right, Wes?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. How come, is that what we're talking when someone is like red pilled or blue pilled? That's like a oral pill, right? Or is it?
I believe so. I don't think that it really matters too much.
All right. Okay.
Lost World has like the best dinosaur CG of any movie ever. Better than Jurassic Park, even. It's so good. Lost World's underlooked. Like, that's a good movie.
San Diego sequence at the end is real fun.
The whole thing is great, in my opinion.
Okay, so 10 years later, a French naturalist named Patrice Fay found himself investigating the scene, interviewing a fisherman about the crocodile that had killed his brother. Nothing about this interview struck Patrice as being all that unusual, though. Sure, the crocodile was huge, maybe up to 20 feet long, but that wasn't totally unheard of, and was probably just the exaggeration of a grieving and frightened brother. But as the interview was ending, the fisherman included one peculiar detail. You know how, like, sometimes when you, like, someone says something and you cock your head to the side? You're like,
yeah. My dog does that all the time.
That's probably what Patrice was doing. What way do you cock your head when you hear something interesting?
I think I do it to the right.
I go left.
I don't know, actually.
I go left.
Think left is tough for me.
I think
my neck doesn't like it.
No, right's hard for me. That's weird.
I think I bicock.
You're
on either side.
You don't have a dominant side of the neck.
For cocking? No.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this strange detail that Patrice heard was that the crocodile had indeed killed his brother, but it hadn't eaten him. What the heck, Jeff?
Yeah.
That's like buying a Costco cake and then throwing it away without eating
It wasn't
it.
that good. It looked good.
You bought it was like buying a whole
sugar.
I'm proud of you for doing it. That was the right decision.
No, it shouldn't have been so wasteful, though. I feel bad about that.
Sure.
I did that recently. I did that last week.
I bought
a Costco cheesecake.
Yeah,
I had
bought
one
a
piece
$25 pistachio Costco cheesecake.
That's what I bought too.
Really?
That's exactly what I did.
We could have had 2 slices.
I gave the rest of mine to the pigs.
That is bizarre. Okay.
I did this a week ago.
I did it 2 weeks ago.
Wow. No, you know, it was 2 weeks ago because it was the day Jesse left. That's nuts.
I can't. This is more unbelievable than the story I'm about to tell.
The pigs ate the rest of mine.
We should tell this story. Okay. Anyway. So, Wes.
Yeah.
That doesn't really make a whole lot of biological sense, right? Usually a crocodile kills and then eats, right? Almost always.
Generally, yes.
Generally.
Yeah.
Simply killing without eating would be, especially for a crocodile of this size, kind of a waste of energy.
Yes. Especially if it's not like caching it somewhere.
Right. So at first, Patrice dismissed the story as maybe just an oddity or a misunderstanding, and probably not even true, until he interviewed the witness of another crocodile killing not long after, who told a similar story with the same ending. He had seen a huge crocodile kill a human, but leave before eating them. And then he heard the same thing from another witness, and then another, until Patrice was certain that at the very least he had uncovered a mystery that was worth investigating.
How do you say what the heck in French? Sacré bleu?
Sacré bleu. Yeah, sure, that works. So with the help of National Geographic, Patrice began traveling the length of the Rusizi River and the coast of Lake Tanganyika, asking after anyone who had any information to share about these strange deaths or this so-called monster crocodile, who it sounded like at this point was just killing for sport. The story more or less was always the same. A massive crocodile with 3 bullet wounds along his back, a distinct bone feature protruding from the back of his head, and a scar on its shoulder from where a hunter had tried and failed to kill him with a spear, would slay its prey and then leave without eating it.
Wow. That's cool. See, that's what... If Spielberg did a crocodile in his movies, he wouldn't have any scars or any bullet holes. He'd just have it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfectly lit.
Maybe part of why it's not eating these people is it's a crocodile, so they don't gator roll, right, Wes?
No, they do.
Why would it be a gator roll if they're a crocodile?
I mean, we call it a gator roll, but like they still spin and tear off chunks of meat.
They learned it from alligators.
No, it's just something in their natural behavior, but they don't call it gator rolling. That's just something we call it in the U.S.
I'm glad you're theorizing, Jeff. That's very apropos for today's episode. Keep doing that, please. I distinctly remember when I first got a credit card and I started looking at my balances, not knowing what to think. Was I spending way too much, way too little? I was never good with spreadsheets or math, never good at setting myself a budget, so I was just completely lost. So when I was introduced to Rocket Money's app, I was so relieved to finally have a tool that reported my financial status in an easy to understand way. And the thing about it that helped me save the most money was how Rocket Money tracked all of the subscriptions that I had and had the ability to cancel all the ones that I didn't want within the app with just a few taps. And I'm not the only one. It saved users over $880 million in canceled subscriptions. But it goes much further than that. It can help you set budgets and goals and get personalized insights and regular reports and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, refunds, and low balances. You know exactly what's going on with your finances at all times. And you know what? Something that's really important to me is being able to have a budget, because there are things that I like spending money on, you know? And knowing just how much I have to spend before it becomes a problem has actually led to a lot of my hobbies being a lot more fun, because I know that I can make plans and have the finances to make them happen. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/claw. That's rocketmoney.com/claw. rocketmoney.com/claw. Eventually, they ran into a young man named Hatungimana Audifax, who at 13 years old had lost his leg to a crocodile whose physical description matched the crocodile that Patrice had at this point begun calling Gustave. And I tried so hard to figure out why he settled on the name Gustave, and I just couldn't find anything. So here we are, Gustave.
Okay, keep your secrets, Patrice.
Hatungimana began to tell a strange story. One day, he and his friends went for a swim in the Rusizi River. He was later told that people on the shore were shouting, "Crocodile," but he didn't hear them, so when Gustave gently chomped down on his leg from behind, he thought it was just one of his friends messing with him. He whipped around, maybe smiling, ready to fight back, but instead of a friend, he saw what he described as something huge, something old. Quote, "It was like he was escorting me. He didn't attack, maybe because the fishermen were beating on the water. I turned to look at him and our eyes met. My leg was crushed and some of the calf muscle was torn off. I was almost losing my mind because of the pain." End quote.
Ugh.
And then for some reason, Gustave let him go and disappeared beneath the muddy waters of the river as Hatungimana pulled his way to safety. So that's odd.
Yeah.
You know? When you bite someone, Wes, it's all or nothing, you know?
When I do, or when Gustave does?
If you were a crocodile, you would have ate that
Apparently
kid.
not.
Yeah.
You would have.
Okay.
Well, so maybe this is a good time to like go into crocodile behavior, because usually what would happen if this was a prey item for Gustave, probably would have taken him underwater to drown him.
Yes. So what often happens with them is they'll pull their prey underwater, drown it, and then they use the death roll to pull chunks off of it to feed. The death roll isn't generally like as far as I know, like their strategy for killing stuff necessarily. Mm-hmm. But yeah, drowning is the main way that they kill their prey.
I forgot. With crocs, it's death roll. For gators, it's gator roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still, I'm impressed, though. You're firing on all cylinders. It's early.
You wanted to do this at 3 a.m.
You guys never... I try so hard.
Do it.
I bend over
an episode at 3 a.m.
You always have a haircut.
But I needed Danielle to set this stuff up, and I didn't want to make her do it at 5 a.m.
Someday we're gonna.
It would have been funny to explain to her.
I was trying. I was like, "Hey, I might need you to set this up at 5 a.m." And she's like, "What?"
Was she like Suckle Blue?
She would have done it, but I was just like, "Hey, boys, let's push it back a little."
Okay. In another interview in a nearby village, a fisherman showed Patrice his huge stomach scars, claiming that he was nearly gutted by this crocodile, but that Gustave didn't seem particularly intent on killing him, or at least not on eating him. Having picked up on the trend of leaving his victims uneaten, Patrice was no longer surprised when he would receive a call about Gustave, about another lifeless body left intact on the banks of the river.
Wow.
What did surprise Patrice were the claims that eyewitnesses of Gustave would make. He was supposedly so large, violent, and frightening that he became something more mythological than real in the minds of the locals. Eyewitness accounts of him would exaggerate his size. Sometimes they would claim he was over 40 feet long. It's pretty... Just spell that one right now. It's not true.
That was not true.
Yeah.
They don't use feet, though, so that you can't blame them.
Yeah. Maybe they meant 40 meters long.
That's much less true. Yeah.
They would claim that his scales, or his scoots, is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
They would claim that they were red and that he had long grassy patches sprouting from his skin. Also not true.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun to imagine, like a red crocodile. 40
Could
meter
have some
long.
algae growing.
Oh my gosh. Algae, sure. They would exaggerate his behavior, or maybe not. They would claim that he would charge fearlessly at large crowds of people or even attack motorized boats. And that's a claim that is not wholly without merit.
Yeah.
But most shocking of all was Gustave's supposed kill count, and we'll get to that one soon. But Patrice had known for a while that the next step had to be seeing Gustave for himself.
Is it more or less than Wes with bugs?
I mean, that's so much less. It's insane.
What do you think bugs used to call Wes?
Gustav.
There's little wanted posters everywhere. My face on them.
They're like he had grass growing out of his head.
Patrice had known for a while that the next step had to be seeing Gustave for himself, but the fact that he hadn't yet was not for lack of trying. The Rusizi River is 73 miles long, with tons and tons of crocodiles dotting its waters. It's incredibly muddy, littered with huge swaths of reeds and tall grass, and had an ever-changing shoreline that shifted with the season. It was like the proverbial needle in the haystack, you know? It's like, even in a geographical range much smaller than this, it's really, really difficult to pinpoint and find one specific croc.
But he's been there for a few weeks.
Much longer than that, even at this point now.
I mean, if I'm there for months, I'm finding a needle in a haystack.
You think? I would give up pretty quick, I think.
I mean, I'm saying if you tried for months.
If you didn't give up. Yeah, I think in months I could find a needle in a haystack.
How big is a haystack?
Like those big wheels, circles?
Is that what?
Like a round bale? Yeah.
Yeah, you probably could. I wonder how long do you think it would take? Days?
I mean, it could just take minutes if you got really lucky.
I think I'd get the needle in 24 hours if I was motivated. Just saying, maybe it's even harder than a needle in a haystack is my point.
Sure, like a needle in 1,000 haystacks.
In a hay
field,
yeah. Maybe it's like, you know how every planet in Star Wars is just like one ecosystem?
Yeah.
Like Coruscant's a city or Endor is just a one big forest?
Yeah.
Maybe the planet is like the hay planet.
And there's one needle
on there.
Yeah.
They had the hay planet in Andor.
Where were we here?
He hasn't seen
Haystack.
Gustave. Haystack.
Here we go. Here's how long he's been searching, Jeff. 2 years. After 2 years of constant searching and seemingly always being one step behind, Patrice began to think that maybe Gustave wasn't just like a legend, but was actually just the result of overactive imaginations. But then one day he saw something so large that at first his eyes almost passed right over it since it didn't register in his brain that it could be a crocodile. At a glimpse, it looked more to him like a huge tree trunk that had floated down the river and settled on a sandbank. But he did a double take. What he was looking at was actually one of the largest Nile crocodiles he or anyone else would ever see. To confirm its identity, Patrice quickly scanned its body to see if it had the scars he had been told it would have, and sure enough, along the croc's back were the 3 bullet wounds and a deep discolored scar on his shoulder. Still shaking from the sight, Patrice eyeballed its size and estimated that Gustave measured somewhere around 20 feet long and weighed a staggering 2,000 pounds.
It's a lot of pounds.
Dude, if you were British, you'd be rich.
Yeah, 2,000 pounds.
Yeah. Do they still use pounds? I
think they use euros, right? No,
because they Brexited.
No, that was Brexit. I think they use pounds.
They're back on pounds.
Yeah.
Why not kilos? Are they stupid?
20 feet long is close to the length of a bus.
Which kind of bus?
I think it's about 80% of a bus for length. Buses are about like 25 feet.
Like
25
feet,
to 30
right?
feet. I don't think so.
You want to
You
check
need
that?
to know this. Yeah.
You look that up, Jeff. We'll keep going. That is important to know.
I'm not looking it up.
I'll look it up.
The next important observation to make would be Gustave's teeth, since size alone isn't always the most accurate way to determine a crocodile's age. Based on Patrice's past experience, a crocodile that size would have to be close to 100 years old. But when he finally got close enough to get a good look inside Gustave's mouth, he saw that his teeth were in near perfect condition.
Huh.
Later in the PBS documentary that I referenced earlier, called Capturing the Killer Croc, scientist Allison Leslie explained that throughout their life, crocodiles lose their teeth and then replace them, but at diminishing returns. So older crocodiles, they'll have fewer teeth that are a little more weathered and worn down. So Gustave's teeth being in pristine condition was another curiosity to add to the swiftly growing list of things that made him unusual. So he's huge enough to be 100 years old, but his teeth are in perfect enough condition. Now, the new estimate for his age was closer to 60 years old, maybe, at oldest. Most likely born sometime in the 1940s. While he acknowledged that the killings needed to be stopped by any means necessary, Patrice concluded that it would be a shame for such an exceptional specimen to be killed before he could be properly studied. So he approached the Burundi Minister of Environment with his reasoning and a plan. The minister agreed on the condition that he either make it happen in 60 days or the project to capture Gustave would need to be abandoned due to the escalating political tension.
That's pretty generous, honestly. If this crocodile's killing people that frequently, most leaders would be like, no, we're killing it.
I think, well, part of the problem is that even though people had tried, nobody could at this point. You know?
Sure.
So, like, even if they were to find him, killing him was easier said than done, I guess.
It feels to me like what more do you learn from it alive than dead?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Behavior.
You know?
Patrice
behavior.
We're going to get into some Patrice stuff later on. So maybe this isn't, we'll get there. But this guy, yeah. In fact, I was hesitant to even like really get into this guy, but I feel like we need to by the end. Yeah.
School bus is 35 to 45 feet. So I said 40 feet. That's right in the middle of that. Typical long school bus.
Jeff was thinking of the buses he
ones.
used to ride.
That's
Maybe. I always liked those short buses are so aesthetically pleasing to me.
I know.
I like a squat little bus, you know?
Yeah.
Patrice immediately set to work trying to capture Gustave, designing a huge steel cage custom made to fit the croc. He then called in a team of specialists, and oh man, this is going to get Jeff going.
I love getting a team together.
It's the best part of any movie is assembling the team, you know? Including the aforementioned South African scientist Allison Leslie and a Tunisian expert named Mark Gonswana, both of whom had invaluable years of experience with crocodiles. And this Mark guy, he ran a farm, or I don't know exactly what you would call it in Tunisia, but he just had hundreds of Nile crocodiles and was just dealing with them day in, day out.
Yeah, a farm. Yep.
Farm. But even with all their combined experience, this all-star team wasn't feeling all that confident on account of the fact that Gustave, unusual croc that he was, refused to stick to a single territory, instead opting to travel long stretches on his own. And also that he was huge and was now just killing people at unheard of rates. They're just like, this is going to be a tough task here. He had killed 3 people in a week, each victim miles from each other. He had eaten none of them. 3 humans in a week. We'll get into some facts really soon. Crocodiles, even if he was eating them, they're not needing to eat that frequently. But
no.
In an interview with BBC in 2002, Patrice reported that Gustave would regularly patrol the 20-mile stretch of water between Rumonge and Monago, eating fishermen and bathers en route as he moved unpredictably up and down the coast of the muddy shorelines. Quote, he can eat 10, 15, or 20 people along the bank. One year I followed the path he took for one of his forays, and 17 people had been eaten between Kanyosha and Monago, and Kabezi and Magara. So 1 year, 17 people. He would appear wherever he felt like appearing, whenever he felt like it, with the team always showing up right when Gustave was said to have left an area. And so they started just pulling out all the stops in order to spot Gustave. And I was so delighted in this documentary to see that they got in a hot air balloon, which is just my favorite vehicle for anyone to get into for like practical purposes, you know?
They like see a log and turn the whole thing around to go like make sure, and it's just a log still.
Yeah, it takes like a half hour to turn it around.
They're like, hey, sandbags.
Can you go that direction? Nope. This goes up and down. We can go up, or we can go down.
Okay. So the concern at this point, though, is that in the past, Gustave would often disappear for months at a time after one of these killing sprees. And with the 60-day hard limit that they had, this was time that they no longer had to spare. Okay. We're going to get into some facts now. And since this is our first episode about Nile crocodiles, this is going to be your standard slate of the basics, what we need to know about them. So their size. And this is just like I'm doing averages here so we can kind of compare and contrast just how special and unique Gustave was compared to it. But the average adult male Nile crocodile often reaches lengths between 12 and 15 feet long and will weigh anywhere from 500 to 1,500 pounds.
That's how much a bus weighs.
It's not true.
So Gustave was 20 feet long and weighed around 2,000 pounds. Pretty exceptionally larger than the average.
And Nile crocodiles, I believe, are the second largest crocodilians in the world after saltwater crocodiles.
They're also sexually dimorphic. Surprise, Wes, surprise. Everything is.
But which ones are bigger, females or males?
Males.
Females are 30% smaller on average.
Whoa.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, what do they look like? We're getting real standard basic here. But they're spotted and striped with a dark bronze and olive colored back. And on their undercarriage, their underside is kind of like a dingy yellow color.
Undercarriage.
In case you're ever wondering if you're seeing Nile crocodile's undercarriage. Nether regions.
Yeah, their ventral side.
Crocodiles, Wes.
Yeah.
Their bite, their teeth, how do they work?
They're for grabbing and tearing, but they don't chew with their teeth. So like long, sharp, conical teeth. So, they grab and then they go back and forth to tear, but that's really all they're good for.
And they just swallow big chunks, right?
Big old chunks. Yep. Is that what you're looking for?
I am looking for that.
Okay.
I was just thinking of all the different possible food items for crocodiles to eat all of a sudden. Like,
I was thinking of that too.
Yeah. Like, you know how you take a fork and you like kind of do a death roll with spaghetti?
It's true.
Is that what they're doing?
No, they're not twisting something.
But they
around.
don't, like, have we ever seen one eat spaghetti, I guess is the first question.
No, I don't think so.
See? That's science right there. You ask a question, hypothesize.
What was the length of that one spaghetti noodle?
2 miles.
2 miles. They could probably roll that thing up so fast.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so fun. We need to. What are scientists even doing? Okay. Age. In the wild, Nile crocodiles live for about 45 years on average, but can live up to 80 years or longer while in captivity. So again, Gustave, probably around 60 years old, pretty exceptional. We don't have like a hard and fast. We don't know for sure, but like maybe more fit or capable crocodiles are going to prolong that lifespan a little longer than that average 45 years. Where do they live? Their range. So they're native to freshwater habitats in Africa, widely distributed in sub-Saharan Africa. And I realized while preparing this episode, as many times as I've heard you say that, I didn't know what that meant, Wes. Mm-hmm. What does that mean exactly?
South of the Sahara Desert.
So basically anywhere not Northern Africa.
Yeah, because Africa obviously is a very diverse continent with so many different types of habitat and whatnot. But there is kind of this big division between the northern third of the continent and the rest, where that northern third is all mostly arid, extremely arid desert. And then the rest has a lot more variety.
Right.
And we say that because one person wrote in and said, you shouldn't just say Africa.
It's been more than one. We definitely have generalized Africa in the past, and it's something that we can do better with.
Yes. So sub-Saharan Africa, and they are present in 26 countries. So really is
Okay.
basically everything but that northern Sahara portion of Africa, as Wes just explained. I did it again, though. I explained it again.
Do they overlap with saltwater crocodiles at all?
No.
Any more questions?
No, keep talking. It's you.
I just thought you'd have a follow-up. Like, what if they did, though, would be my next question.
That's interesting, I guess.
Then they would probably compete with them at a pretty high level.
So their diet. Adult Nile crocodiles are the apex predator for their range and are ambush hunters. And they'll eat pretty much anything they can overpower, including fish, birds, zebras, antelope, sometimes even the occasional buffalo, very occasionally, and humans, obviously, for the intents and purposes of this episode. Here's something that I found really interesting about Nile crocodile stomach biology, I guess is how I'll put it. But they have an ectothermic metabolism, and they don't really need to eat all that often. But when they do, they can eat up to half of their body weight at a time.
Wow.
What's really interesting about that, though, is according to Huschzermeyer's Crocodiles, Biology and Husbandry, their stomachs aren't much larger than a basketball. So I don't...
Where's it all going?
Does it expand?
It has to just expand an insane amount.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, I don't know, quite
Or
get
maybe
that,
it's one of those, like, giant basketballs, like a gimmick
That's-
basketball.
Like when they have in a parade.
Maybe Huschzermeyer didn't really understand basket. Or maybe... maybe he was really
He's just
small.
pointing to like houses and being like, that's about the size of a basketball, right?
Yeah. You know how, like, when you see a basketball really close up, it looks big. But when you see a stomach from a crocodile, like, really far away, it looks small. Maybe.
He just has no concept of like perspective.
I think that's safe to assume.
That's not funny. Okay. So they can swim up to 22 miles an hour and run up to 9 miles an hour on land. So they're like pretty quick. It's a short little burst on land, enough to be dangerous, but water is really where they're, causing some damage.
Yeah. I think people hear that and they think like, oh, so I could outrun one. But it's like, if a crocodile suddenly bursts, and is running after you on land, there's a very good chance you're going to fall over because you're going to be so scared. And
you
a lot
gotta
of people
kind of
do.
run backwards at first, normally.
Yep.
Right.
You're not like in starting blocks.
No.
And So their social behavior. Nile crocodiles are relatively social amongst themselves and share basking spots and large food sources. The hierarchy is determined by size, so the largest male will have first access to the food and the best basking spots, which is real just like alpha behavior,
Sure.
It's kind of fun just to think of like a huge Allison in the documentary when she was looking at Gustave, she was just like, oh, he is fat. He is so fat. You can just like envision a fat crocodile, like just lumbering up to the best basking spot and kicking everyone else out.
Right. As like a beefy boy, it'd be nice going to the pool and just being like, choose whatever spot someone's in and be like, hey, get out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing I found kind of fun about their parental behavior is both mother and father are known to guard their nests until the eggs hatch. And if their babies are having a hard time getting out of their shell, the mother, and maybe the father, I think it's just the mother, they'll put the eggs in their mouth and roll them gently around with their tongue and on the roof of their mouth to help crack the egg a little bit for the babies to emerge a little easier, which I thought was kind of fun.
That's cool.
It'd be scary as a baby. It'd be like, oh no, she's eating me.
Yeah, I'm about to get eaten.
Dude, that is a danger. They eat each other a lot, it turns out. There's cannibalism is rife in Nile crocodile culture. Human deaths caused by Nile crocs. So it's hard to know exactly because a lot of attacks go unreported, but it's estimated that they kill hundreds, possibly thousands of people each year, and that they're responsible for more human deaths than all other crocodilians combined, which I think Wes has alluded to in the past.
Yeah, it's crazy the range that you read. You hear numbers like 500 to 20,000, which is just unreal. But the thing is a lot of people in their range just go missing, and we don't know if they drowned or if they were eaten by a crocodile. And a lot of them are probably eaten by crocodiles. Like this is one of the few animals in the world that sees us as prey and is pretty good at like eating us. So I tend to believe that it is in the thousands.
That's an important thing to keep in mind too, moving forward, is what you just mentioned, is these disappearances that are unexplained, possibly crocodile, possibly from other factors.
Yeah.
But
if you were to say like what's the most dangerous large animal in Africa, it is without a doubt Nile crocodiles.
One last fact before we get back to our story, and this is just like a bonus amateur observation. So, as all great science does, I began with a hypothesis. And I was like, you know what? Most humans are right-handed. I bet most crocodiles death roll to the right. You know? So I found 6 videos of crocodiles death rolling. 3 of them, they rolled to the right. 3 of them, they rolled to the left.
Ooh.
So I don't...
disproved your hypothesis.
I'm not jumping to any conclusions, but, you know.
Yeah, you need a bigger data set.
Yeah. But it is an interesting question, you know. It seems like... Well, I don't know what it seems
Maybe
like.
it's depending on the hemisphere they're in.
Right.
Like the Coriolis effect, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's science.
As you all know, I adopted a dog about 5 or 6 months ago, and he is a tripod. His arm got blown off by a tornado. Because he's a tripod, he can have some more pronounced digestive issues. We had some diarrhea days that were kind of hard to deal with, and that's one of the reasons I love feeding him Ollie. They deliver fresh, human-grade food in 5 drool-worthy flavors, which I have ranked 1 through 5 of which I would eat to the last I would eat. And there's no bad choices. But Shanks has really loved it, and let me tell you, it's made it a lot easier for me to pick up his poos. Ollie's fresh recipes are developed by real chefs with gut-friendly ingredients that support better digestion, energy, skin health, and poops, with flavors like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, or fresh turkey with blueberries, or the one I would eat is chicken with carrots. Another thing I love about Ollie is the app and the health tracking. I don't really know what I'm doing a lot of the time, so they have health check-ins with on-demand vet expert support for everyday questions like your pup's new food, transition, digestion, skin, and weight. So if you want a healthy dog like Shanks, get ready for both you and your pup to be obsessed. Head to ollie.com/tooth and tell them all about your dog. Use code TOOTH to get 70% off your welcome kit when you subscribe today. Plus, it's risk-free with their obsession guarantee. That's OLLIE.com/tooth and enter code TOOTH to get 70% off your first box. Ollie, feed the obsession.
This episode is brought to you by Element. You know, for most of my life, I've had a pretty strange relationship with caffeine. When I was like 12 or 13, my parents had no idea I was sneaking cup after cup of coffee at the local pool, and I just fell completely in love with it. The trouble really started, though, when I moved from coffee to energy drinks. Now I'm dealing with this whole thing with soft drinks, and it just makes me feel terrible. I've been wanting to stop it for a long time. That's why we're excited to introduce Element Lemonade Iced Tea. Isolated caffeine, the kind that I've been drinking a lot of recently, and the kind in most energy drinks and soft drinks and stuff, it hits harder and drops a lot faster because there's nothing in it to smooth the curve. Tea works differently. The caffeine comes bundled with L-theanine and polyphenols, the way that it exists in the plant. That's what gives you a noticeably steadier feeling. Less spike, less drop. Element Lemonade Iced Tea uses a full black tea extract, not isolated caffeine, plus a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, or other dodgy ingredients. And it's trusted by Stanford neuroscientists, functional nutritionists, professional athletes across the NFL, NBA, NHL, CrossFit, you name it. This stuff really works for the people who need it most. So get a free 8-count sample pack of Element's most popular drink mix flavors with any purchase at drinkelement.com/tooth. Find your favorite flavor or share with a friend. Okay, let's get back to Gustave. How about? You ready for that, Jeff?
Yes.
During their search, Patrice and the team heard something that really just dumbfounded them. As plans for building the cage were well underway, a park ranger claimed that he had seen Gustave killing a hippopotamus. And it's probably not what you're thinking. like probably just like a tiny baby hippo or something like that. No, this was a fully grown adult hippo.
Yeah, not typically prey for them.
Usually, encounters with hippos end with crocodiles being pretty easily dispatched. These hippos just have size and strength and speed, every advantage over these crocodiles, usually, but not Gustave. He had attacked one, which was already something pretty unheard of, and then it actually won the fight. The team was left to ask what exactly had made him this way, and if their 30-foot-long steel cage would even be enough to contain him if they did find him at this point. A few theories to try and explain Gustave have since been offered up. Like most crocodiles in the region, he was probably born in the lower section of the Rusizi River where the moving waters spread out into marshlands and shallow banks. Anything that entered the water upstream would eventually wind its way down through to this stretch of the river, and as we covered at the beginning, the history of this part of Africa might help us understand what sort of interesting things might have been floating down towards these crocodiles. In 1972, when Gustave would have been about 30 years old or so, a political uprising in the South triggered a violent retaliation from the government, and the army began removing anyone they deemed capable of organizing any further attempts at resistance. In just a few months' time, this genocide saw between 100 and 200,000 people killed. And as awful as it is to consider, the river offered an easy way to dispose of these bodies. So they would be disposed of upstream. They would float down towards all of these crocodiles living kind of in this delta area where the Rusizi River met Lake Tanganyika. And many of these bodies ended up drifting right through Gustave's territory. And this is where one theory as to why he killed without eating was proffered up by Patrice. Years of feeding on human remains without having to really hunt might have dulled his instinct to kill in order to eat. But you're probably already poking holes in this theory, I imagine. Thousands of other crocodiles are also living right here alongside Gustave, so why weren't they all huge and killing wantonly as well, you know?
Yes.
Another thing to consider is that by the time Gustave started his thing of killing but not eating, he would have already been in at least his mid-40s. The late 1980s, he would have been about 40, maybe a little older. So why did he start killing and not eating so late in life? Some more theories popped up, and I'm going to be pretty heavily quoting that Denzo YouTube video I referenced earlier, just to keep things on track, keep it succinct. But the first theory as to why Gustave would kill but not eat his victims is called the herpetologist's view. Gustave eventually grew to be nearly 20 feet long and weighed around 2,000 pounds. But of course, he wasn't always that big. He didn't just come out of the womb 20 feet long, right? You have to imagine.
I don't know. With Gustave, it seems like he's not a very typical crocodile.
They also don't come out of the womb.
That's true. Yeah. Whatever. Eggs and wombs. It's like, whatever, Wes. So, some important biology for Nile crocodiles we have to consider here is how they grow. In the first 10 years, a male Nile crocodile goes from 1 foot long to about 8 feet long. Then between years 10 and 20, they grow another 50% or so until they're around 11 or 12 feet long. Between 20 and 30, growth slows down drastically, and the average male Nile croc will top out at around 15 feet long. After that, they'll grow maybe an inch or two per decade, if that, until they reach full skeletal maturity, is what they call it, much later in life. And for a long time, we actually thought that Nile crocodiles, I don't know why that's so freaking hard to say for me, Nile crocodile, it rhymes. It's like poetry. We thought that they were indeterminate growers, that they literally just never stopped growing, kind of like lobsters. That's since been disproven, but it does take a very long time until they reach that skeletal maturity. So for the first 30 or so years of his life, until around the time the human killings began, Gustave was probably still within that average size range for a Nile crocodile and could thus sustain himself the way any other of his species would. A diet of fish and other unfortunate animals drinking from the side of the river, or maybe the occasional other crocodile. The herpetologist theory goes, though, that by the late 1980s, he simply had grown too large, cumbersome and slow to hunt the same small and agile prey items as fellow crocodiles. So he's literally just like, he couldn't move his body efficiently enough or quick enough to be capturing these same prey items, which I thought is kind of an interesting idea.
Or fish or whatever. Huh, that is interesting.
Yeah. And like these small fish, even if you were to catch them, they weren't calorically rewarding enough to even be worth it at that size, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe he learned that the relatively slow, predictable, and soft humans made for a much more conducive source of food for a crocodile that could no longer afford those energetically costly chases. But that didn't answer the question as to why he would kill, but then leave so many bodies uneaten. Some herpetologists theorize that consuming large prey typically entails a crocodile to do that, we talked about it earlier, the death roll, to tear off chunks of flesh because, like Wes said, they don't chew, they roll, tear off a chunk, and then swallow those chunks whole.
Oh, he's too fat to roll over.
He weighs so much that it's just like a burden.
Yeah.
It takes too much energy to get his giant body going.
Well, I was going to say, like, at that size, he's, like, bigger than a lot of great white sharks. And for them, when they bite something and they realize, like, oh, this isn't even worth it, they won't continue feeding. And so I wonder if that was kind of the same thing where he's, like, biting a leg and it's mostly bone and he's kind of like, oh, this isn't, juice isn't worth the squeeze here.
Yeah, so at 2,000 pounds, the death roll is probably just extremely exhausting. So instead, Gustave would kill a prey item and then wait for decomposition to further soften the flesh while moving on to his next target, later to return and, nibble off easier.
He should start attacking things at the top of a hill and then just roll down the hill.
Just roll down.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
They would have to be fixed. Yeah.
What's the closest hill to him? Kilimanjaro, right?
I think it's hilly country.
I think riverbeds normally have a hill,
That's true. Like a little slope down into the water.
Most hills don't have names.
Is that true? I don't know. It feels like everything has a name if you zoom in close enough on Google Maps.
Yeah, but who knows about Burundi?
So that's theory 1, the herpetologist view. So theory 2, past trauma, the past trauma theory. As we've covered, Gustave was no stranger to being attacked by humans. It has since been learned that crocodiles have powerful long-term associative memories, remembering specific threats from up to 40 years ago. Each time someone fired a gun at Gustave or stabbed him with a spear, his brain would store that information until he eventually associated humans with danger. With guns really starting to be a widespread item for the people of Burundi, as he was eventually growing into what hunters would see as a pretty sizable haul of food and leather, maybe he became the frequent target of bullets and other weapons, and at some point began to see humans as a threat to proactively neutralize before they could cause him any more pain. That's theory 2. And you can pass judgment on these if you think that holds water or not. Wes, you seem to think that it does not.
I don't like that theory, yeah.
Let's get on to theory 3, but theory 2 was a bust for Wes. Wes was not busting due to theory 2. Theory 3 is simple surplus killing. In predators like crocodiles, the cycle of killing and eating has taken shape over millions of years of evolution. As far back as the early 1970s, political unrest saw a seemingly endless procession of human bodies floating down the Rusizi River, meaning that for a long stretch of Gustave's life, he didn't need to hunt or even necessarily even be hungry in order to eat. He was just getting basically just like the sushi conveyor belt, just coming right at him. He didn't even have to work for it. We have to pay for the sushi too. He didn't. That's crazy.
I bet you we could go to a sushi conveyor belt, eat some sushi, and leave.
It's true.
Without paying?
You could.
You don't think we could?
You don't have to pay.
I'd feel bad.
To. Yeah. I used to do that in Walmart a lot.
They have sushi conveyor belts in Walmart?
No, but I would take what I want.
That's a really funny way to put that.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe during this period, Gustave's brain created a new association that humans equaled effortless food. When the human massacres ended and the river returned to normal, the easy abundance was gone, but that pattern in his brain remained. When tensions rose again in the mid-1980s, more people started moving to the riverbanks again. Refugees from earlier conflicts or villagers displaced by political instability, whatever else was the case. And when humans started reappearing in greater numbers again, that old programming in Gustave's brain was reactivated. Instead of occasional opportunistic attacks, he shifted to systematic killing. Some researchers believe he may have been trying to stockpile more food than was necessary because he remembered that time when there was an abundance and then all of a sudden the abundance disappeared.
That's the theory I like the most.
That's theory 3.
That was what I thought of when especially when you told the story of the boy that he bit. to me, it made me think of like, oh, he probably thought he was dead and bit him and then realized he's alive and maybe not worth,
Wasn't
continuing.
the boy walking when he got bit?
No, he's in the water.
He was swimming.
And if he had seen just hundreds of bodies, and they'd all been dead and then started biting people that were alive, it might be hard for a crocodile to really tell the difference for a while at least. It made me think of the leopard of Rudraprayag, because if you guys remember that story, there was a big, I think it was whatever that fever was in the early 1900s that killed a bunch of people in the end of World War I. A lot of people in India died, and they think that leopard may have scavenged so much that it kind of started to see people as food. And I think that's very likely what happened with Gustave too. Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened maybe not, actually. I was thinking of the Donner Party, but they probably didn't spend enough. I don't know. That's just another hypothesis. We're just doing science around here.
Because they would have then ate a lot of people once they got to their location.
Right.
Still. I don't think they did that.
Uh-huh. Maybe they did. I don't know.
It seems like we would know.
So these three theories are compelling, but they all fail to answer one question. Why only Gustave? Thousands of other crocodiles that lived more or less the same life as him, but hadn't really developed these same tendencies. Another question to grapple with was whether all of these deaths were actually being caused by Gustave in the first place. To backtrack a little bit, the assassination of Burundi's president triggered a civil war that lasted from, Jeff?
Oh, the one you said before?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. 2005.
Yeah, that's the end.
And
nice.
19 Jurassic Park, right? Mm-hmm. 1993.
There we go, baby. Oh, A+. I'm going to buy you a Costco cake as a reward. One of those pistachio ones. So that civil war that lasted from 1993 until 2005 would see the deaths of approximately 300,000 people. Coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally.
I'm kind of like Gustave.
Yeah, surplus killing.
Because he just ate one leg and would leave and stuff,
No, you're exactly the same as him. If Allison saw you, she'd be like, he's fat. I loved her.
They'd be like, why is this beefy boy not eating all of his cakes?
They'd track you for years.
The basketball would make more sense.
They'd follow you around for years and just be like, what is going on here? What is wrong with this guy?
Maybe he has a vendetta against cakes.
They're like, oh, it's McRib season. Gustave's about to go crazy.
So coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, the exact same stretch of time of this civil war coincides nearly perfectly with Gustave's highest concentration streak of kills. Maybe you're starting to do a little bit of mental deductions here. Maybe if you'd be a huge hit in ancient Greece if you're doing that whole Aristotle thing where you're making deductions.
Mike, you can't do a tangent on every single thing you say. We're going to be here for 8 hours.
We're close to the end here. Over the 20 years when he was most actively preying on humans, Gustave's tally sits somewhere between the 60 confirmed victims and over 300 suspected. But the exact number is impossible to verify in a region with thousands of other crocodiles and a dozen other reasons why someone might disappear from the bank of the river. Again, other crocodiles, maybe hippos, maybe seasonal floodings or mudslides, many other things. As sad as it is to think about it, maybe they could have been politically or ethnically charged slaughterings and some truly evil men on the other side of these borders that Burundi shares with other countries. Sometimes people would be abducted and conscripted into military efforts for other countries. So a number of factors could be contributing to these disappearances, and they were just being blamed on Gustave because it made for kind of a fanciful tale of a monster.
Yeah. On that note too, you keep saying oh, how come all the other crocodiles weren't doing this? They very well could have been.
Probably were. Yeah.
But it's just that Gustave was so big and recognizable that they were blamed on him. So it's very likely that a lot of these other crocodiles were also killing people because a lot of people die from crocodiles.
Yeah.
Mike, that military deduction, like that you just had, that was good deducting. That they might be like kidnapping children for military purposes.
It was Aristotelian of me to do that, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. I just was born in the wrong decade.
I see how you tied that back in. It was very important earlier.
Thank you. Honestly, though, again, even if it was just half of the confirmed 60 victims, like, it's no wonder that Gustave became a waking nightmare for many of the people living near the waters in Burundi. That 30 people over however many years, that's like, if you think about serial killers in the human world, that would cause mass hysteria if it was all happening in like this small geographic area over 20 years, you know? So he had learned how to prey on humans and survive their retaliation. Let's go back to Patrice and his team, and we're going to finish this up here. So still under pressure from the 60-day deadline they were given, they quickly finished building the 30-foot steel cage and enlisted the help of 30 men to help lift and carry it the 4.5 miles from their village to the delta where they had most recently spotted Gustave. An infrared camera was mounted inside the cage to detect any form of life in the dark, and then they slid it into the water with a severed cow's head inside to serve as bait. But the legend loomed large over them, culminating when a Gatumba village medicine man ominously warned them that Gustave was under the spell of an evil person, and he would never enter that cage until that spell was broken. A week passed, and each morning the team woke up to find an empty cage, and they grew more pessimistic by the day. Time was running out fast, so when Gustave was spotted on a high bank nearly a mile from where the cage had been set up, the team quickly assembled and set up a few smaller traps in a last-ditch Hail Mary effort to catch him. And to add a bit of insult to the whole operation, as they were building one of these small, they call them pitman traps, and it shows this in the documentary, Gustave is in the water watching them build this trap.
Yeah.
Like, his head facing them, he's just sitting there watching them do it, as if to say, just like,
this isn't going to work.
This is, like that trap is going to cap. Yeah,
they're trying to catch him alive.
Capture him alive still. Yeah. 48 hours later, one of the pitman traps was set off, but the crocodile inside of it was a young, small one. Even at its small size, though, the team had difficulty corralling and releasing it, so they knew that even if they were to miraculously catch Gustave in one of these tiny traps, it'd be virtually impossible to do anything anyway. So they're just like, we're at the end of it here. We got to go back to the cage. The cage is really the only thing that's going to work here. So they changed out the cow head at first to a live chicken. And when that didn't work, speaking of Jurassic Park, they tied up a live goat inside of it. And there's like some infrared night vision footage from the camera. It literally looks like Jurassic Park. Yeah, very much.
Gustave doesn't want to be fed. He wants to hunt.
He wants to roll.
Finally, they saw a glimmer of hope. During one of the following nights, a white spot began showing up on the camera when they checked the footage the next day. This white eye dot was so large that they knew it could only be Gustave. He had eyes on the goat and was at least considering going into the cage to get it. Fittingly, a huge storm was predicted to hit during the last night the operation was allowed to be run. When the team anxiously walked down to the cage the next morning, they found the cage partially submerged in the water, the camera destroyed, and the goat was nowhere to be seen. Was it the water level that suddenly rose during that stormy night? Did Gustave somehow enter without triggering the trap, eat the goat, and destroy the camera? Whatever happened, they had failed to catch the crocodile, and their time was finally up. At the time, crocodiles were seen as simple predators driven by basic instincts, and yet Gustave refused to touch it. We now know that crocodiles are far better at weighing risk against reward than anyone was thinking back then. Maybe Gustave's brain flagged the structure as a change in his environment that shouldn't be there, and as a crocodile that was already playing by his own rules, it shouldn't have come as a surprise that a simple steel trap wouldn't be enough to stop him.
You briefly mentioned this earlier, but because of their metabolism, they don't have to eat that often. So if a crocodile sees something as like a potential risk even, it's probably not going to go for it because it doesn't have to. Unless they're desperate, unless there hasn't been food or something. But for Gustave, where it seems like there's plenty of food, there's no reason for him to take a risk and go inside of a trap.
So for over 20 years, Gustave had been one of the most sought after targets in Burundi. And for 20 years, no one had any luck in catching or killing him. Charging at a crowd in broad daylight, as he was known to do, required an absence of fear, but the fact that he could switch from that sort of fearlessness to a caution that kept him from entering that steel cage left the team in awe of his intelligence. If it wasn't clear before, it was clear now that Gustave was not just any ordinary crocodile. The 60-day window closed and the scientists had to leave. Gustave had won again. For the next 5 years, he all but disappeared. He was spotted once in 2009, and that was the last time a credible source would ever see him again. If he's still alive, he would be around 80 years old today. No body has ever been found, so many people still look twice before approaching the river water's edge. As long as there's no proof of his death, the legend of Gustave lives on.
I like that.
Well, that's the story of Gustave. Any further questions, Your Honor?
No, I'm glad we did it. This is one I've thought about for a long time, so I'm glad you took the reins.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Sure.
He seems like he killed some people, but how many, we don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
60 people, 60 confirmed is, come on now.
Yeah, for a crocodile, that's a lot.
That's a good amount. Yeah.
Some of these big cats have killed a lot more people, but they also feed a lot more often, And so for a crocodile, that's a good amount of people.
They should, the people in the Epstein list should just blame a crocodile, I think, for all the missing kids and stuff.
Yeah, it could work.
They probably.
Not that they really need to. They seem to be getting away with it.
We're probably not far from that. Yeah, honestly.
So we need to talk about Patrice just real quick.
Yeah.
We teased it, and I'm going to be delicate here because this is like a pretty touchy thing that happened in 2011, about 6 or 7 years after he was the star of that PBS documentary and was kind of the central figure to this whole story outside of Gustave. In 2011, a court in Burundi found him guilty of sexually assaulting 5 young girls who attended the school that he had set up to help underprivileged children in the area.
Jeez, right after Jeff brings up Epstein.
Yeah.
Tough timing. But he was ultimately sentenced to 25 years in jail in a closed-door trial.
Yeah.
Of course, he denied the charges and said he would appeal. And the French Foreign Ministry stepped in and took exception to the proceedings. There's a lot of just like irregularities and inconsistencies with how this trial was actually run. And the main accuser in this trial, one of the young girls, actually did write in a letter of apology explaining that she had accused him out of some petty form of revenge. And another one of the accusers, one of the young girls, actually said that she had done it because she had been bribed by a competing German organization that was operating in the same time and space as Patrice down there too. So like, again, maybe he does deserve to be like buried behind the prison, never to be heard from ever again.
Fed to Gustave. Yeah.
But maybe this was like a weird conspiracy. And I know that gets you going, Jeff. Like this weird shadowy German organization that's like, we need to get Patrice out of the way
on Gustave.
I just wanted to make a small note. And one detail I really need to include here is that, so he was in this really awful prison system. It was built for 800 people. There were 3,500 people in it at the time of Patrice's holding. And according to some of the former prisoners, they would regularly catch rats and cook and eat them. And Patrice, when they were interviewing him, as he was talking to maybe his defense team, I don't know exactly who he was talking to, but he, quote, retained his sense of humor and said, "From a crocodile hunter, I have become a bed bug hunter." So even in like the worst possible scenario someone could be in, he's still cracking off jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. The Occam's razor thing makes me wonder about the shadowy German organization and stuff, like, and again, we shouldn't pass judgment, but if I had to guess, like, I would guess that he probably is guilty. But
he was an interesting figure. If you watch the documentary, I mean, anyone who decides to spend 30 years of their life in a country that's not their own chasing a huge crocodile, maybe, I'm not saying like that's wrong, or anyone that decides to engage in that kind of behavior is a little off their rocker, but like you can kind of sense that he's a man who maybe
had some
was never
eccentricities.
quite all the way acclimated to like human civilization. But again,
well, so possibly we talked about two monsters, one of them much worse than the other.
Which one's worse?
Patrice.
I don't know. Gustave killed a lot of kids.
Yeah, but he's just doing natural behavior. Like, yeah, I don't think he's a monster.
I think
Gustave.
we would need more information on the case to guess if he's guilty or not.
I'm just saying, like, when I hear that, I tend to believe the victims. But, like,
I think that's the appropriate response. But I also don't want to spend the rest of my life.
No. I don't want to spend the rest of the next 5 minutes thinking about it.
Let's move on to categories then.
It's summer and it's hot out, which is why I find myself going back to Quince over and over again because I find their clothes breathable and comfortable, which is what I need right now. Also, I love that a lot of their stuff is unbranded. I get a little tired of wearing big logos everywhere, and it's nice to have some unbranded clothes. I just bought their organic cotton sub crew neck, a James woven stretch belt, and some super soft fleece sweat shorts, all for around $100, which I feel great about, and I'm so much more comfortable with the summer heat. Also, I found that I had a lot of black clothes, so I loved getting a breathable gray shirt that Shank's hair doesn't show up on as much, and I find myself wearing it almost every day. And it's only $26, so I'm going to just go on it and buy 2 more right now. Make your summer wardrobe easier. Go to quince.com/tooth for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/tooth for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/tooth.
My cat Toad is an indoor cat. We have lots of foxes and coyotes around, so we don't want him getting hurt. We also don't want him hurting the natural bird life and reptiles and mammals and stuff that live around our house. But in the spring and summer, I really love giving him some supervised time outside, and I can just see how happy it makes him. And another thing that I can just really notice his happiness is giving him really good food. And Small's Fresh Cat Food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free, 100% human-grade ingredients that you'd find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. Once you start feeding your cat Smalls, you're going to notice a lot of great improvements. Less shedding, fewer hairballs, food is more digestible, so less junk is coming out of the other end, which means their poop isn't going to smell quite as bad, which is amazing if you live with a cat. You know that if a cat has really stinky poop, it stinks up your entire house and it's terrible. It's also going to help improved hydration. They're going to have stronger bones, more toned muscles. They're getting better protein that they're using as their main energy source, which means more fuel, sustained energy, and just a happier cat. And I think that's the most important thing for me, is I want Toad to be happy with his food. So stop serving your little carnivore a bowl of processed shortcuts. For a limited time, because you're a Tooth and Claw listener, get 60% off your first order, plus free shipping and free treats for life when you head to smalls.com/tooth. That's 60% off your first order, plus free shipping and free treats for life when you head to smalls.com/tooth.
First category, your favorite team of 3 or an iconic trio. Jeff, please.
Yeah, I feel like my brain went to basketball because there's been a lot of like 3 players that win championships. And like the one that comes to mind would be Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce when they teamed up. But I didn't ever love any of the big 3s.
Rodman, Jordan, and Pippen.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, they almost don't get included in the big 3.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, the biggest 3 was LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go with Homeward Bound. The 2 dogs and the cat.
Iconic.
Yeah. They fight a mountain lion off. They jump in a river. They get out of that hole.
One gets porcupined.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I'm going to go with the 2 of you and Brent when you lived in the cube. That was like maybe the most fun I've had hanging out with like a trio, because you guys just had the weirdest things happening in that house all the time with your roommates. And like just coming over and playing Smash Brothers on like this 20-foot TV that Jeff inherited that weighed like 10,000 pounds, like the size of Gustave.
Yeah.
And all three of you were like semi-employed at the time. So it was just like a real iconic time in your all's friendship. And I'm glad that I got to kind of be a tangential figure in it.
We should run that back, dude. Let's go back.
Back to the cube.
Back to the cube. That TV's got to still be there. There's no way anyone's moved that.
No. Yeah, that's there forever.
My favorite team of three is from the movie The Heroic Trio. It's an old martial arts movie with Michelle Yeoh, Maggie Cheung, and Anita Muir. It's just the most fun martial arts movie I've watched in a really long time. So
Three Ninjas. Shout out Three Ninjas.
Can't forget the Three Ninjas.
Shout out Blink 182 for me too. That was my second. Yeah.
Okay.
Got me into like punk music when I was a kid, even though, a lot of people don't like them. That was my gateway drug.
Yeah. We all start our journey somewhere.
Yeah. What's
something you've eaten too much of recently?
Honestly, one slice of that pistachio cheesecake was too much. That same trip to Costco that I bought these peanut butter cups that I really like. They're called like Skinny Dipped, and they're really good. They're like dark chocolate with peanut butter cup, and they're 3 grams of sugar a piece. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, great. This is like a healthy peanut butter cup. And then I'll eat like 10 of them in one sitting. And so I eat way too many of them to where I'm probably getting more sugar than I would if I just ate like a double pack of Reese's or something. So that's something I've been eating too much of.
This one, I think, is the best for Mike just because as much as anyone I know, he can eat a whole bag of just something he just bought and just down it in an hour.
It's so bad.
But I'm currently on a business trip in Maine. So I've been eating too much lobster rolls and cups of chowder.
Lobster.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, that's all I order. And it's like,
chowder.
Jeff, order some other stuff.
Is that Danielle?
My favorite ever was I said, yeah, I'll take a cup of chowder. And she's like, oh, a cup of chowder? Like corrected me.
Yeah, that's great.
I wish your business partner spoke with a really heavy Boston accent,
I know.
Northeastern accent.
Or like a Maine accent, like the guy in Pet Sematary.
Our business partner.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. Shout out our business partner. We love her around here.
Yeah. I think we have a different business relationship with her than you do.
Yeah. So I've been on this weird thing where I'm trying to, my whole life, you see that bottom row of snacks and treats at gas stations. And I've never in my whole life seen someone eating like a whatchamacallit or a zero bar. So I've been trying all of these different snacks that I've never had. And I recently tried, cowtails for the first time.
Yeah.
Have you had a cowtail? Dude,
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
I should have been eating these a long time ago.
Yeah.
They're so freaking good.
Jessie's not a fan of candy or like sweets, but she loves a cowtail.
Yeah, man.
So have you been eating too many cowtails or not enough?
I've had 16 cowtails in the past 24 hours.
Wow, that's a lot of cowtails.
They come in packs of 4 though. That's the problem with cowtails is like you can't ever just buy like a reasonable amount. Not that would stop me anyway.
They're very dense though. It's like a very dense candy.
I know.
Yeah.
It's getting bad. So
Yeah.
I got to stop that. Something that ended up looking way bigger and more impressive than you expected it to.
I can start. Going to the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge, where they just have a Titanic replica as part of the building. It was a lot bigger than I expected it to be. It's just like the Titanic that you walk inside, pretty much. Also, Ben Affleck's penis in Gone Girl.
You see his penis in I just watched that.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
He gets out of the shower, and it's like, in the shower?
Yeah.
It normally
if it was
shrinks a
real?
bit. I heard he tugged on it a bit.
Yeah, a little fluffing. I would. If I was an actor and I was going to have my penis on screen.
That's the problem with viewing habits today is people are looking at their phone when they should be looking at Ben Affleck's penis, probably. Is what
Yeah,
happened.
Wes.
I was pretty locked
second
in
screening.
because I just watched this documentary about Scott Peterson. I was like, oh, Gone Girl really is about Scott Peterson. And so I was watching it, and yeah, I missed the dick. My answer was icebergs in Antarctica. I remember when we were planning on going to Antarctica, I knew that icebergs were going to be there, and I knew they would be cool. I didn't realize they would look like small countries. Like, I didn't realize just how big those tabular icebergs were, and they were insanely big and impressive. So icebergs really blew me away.
That's one of those things like we were talking about earlier. They name all of those. Every iceberg is named.
A lot of them.
That's why I think a lot of hills are probably named too. Jim. Like probably not like, I don't know.
Gary.
I'm going with the Colosseum. I was pretty dumbfounded by the Colosseum when we went. Jeff and I were in Rome. I had kind of a mental breakdown just considering it. Like I had to sit down and like kind of process and look at it and almost acknowledge out loud that it was real and that real people had built it however long ago. I just had a really hard time processing it for whatever reason, but was a really impressive building.
That's how I feel whenever I go to like New York and you're just surrounded by all these massive buildings and you think like all of these buildings were built by people. It's crazy.
It's really odd to think about that. Yeah. Along a similar line, so I just got back from Nashville recently. Did you guys know that there's a 1-to-1 replica of the Parthenon in Nashville?
No.
There's just a Parthenon there. Yeah, what the heck? That was so weird to me. Like that, does Greece know about that? Speaking of Greece, Aristotle, Wes?
Yeah. What about him?
He deduced.
He was deducting.
He was like Sherlock.
Yeah.
He was the proto Sherlock. Okay. Next category. What's your favorite set of teeth in pop culture?
I have a couple, but I really like the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park. I think they got good teeth. And then I like Bilbo when Frodo shows him the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good teeth.
It's such a good jump scare.
Well, I was going to say Hades from the animated Hercules, where he just has like a few sharp teeth that are just like, he has like 5 of them. And I always thought that was really interesting and I liked his teeth. But honestly, Jeff bringing up the early renders of Sonic in like the first trailer and how he had like weirdly human teeth and small eyes might be my favorite teeth from pop culture, because I don't think there's ever been such a swift rebuttal of a trailer where people were like, no, absolutely not, we're not seeing this movie. So bad that they had to change all the CG in the movie. It's pretty amazing.
That is one conspiracy I wholeheartedly believe in, is that they knew what they were doing and they had the real Sonic already in place.
Oh, just to like drum up.
Needed a little bit of like weird, crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going with this old book called In a Dark, Dark Room. It's this old picture book. And there's this story where a kid keeps encountering men with progressively larger and grosser sets of teeth.
Yeah.
And I remember just being pretty traumatized by those pictures when I was little, but I would always flip to those pages. It's kind of captivating for some reason to me.
Have either of you seen the horror movie Teeth? About vagina dentata?
Yeah, Brent had me watch that one.
I was going to have you do it for the no pants, but I guess I won't.
Ooh, that's a good one. We'll have Jeff do it.
I like Nami when she gets mad at Luffy.
The shark teeth.
Shark teeth already, yeah.
That's such a
That's
good
a pretty
gag.
common anime thing, isn't it? Or is
It's
that
not
just One Piece?
unusual. Okay. Yeah, pretty ubiquitous trope. I think that's it, right? Is that all the categories?
No, but it's
no.
fine. You had the wildest category in a while.
Which one?
Your top 2 sides in the American Civil War.
Oh, yeah. What are they?
I went with the Union and the Confederates.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
had the same
probably
order,
mine.
actually.
Oh,
The
it doesn't
North-
have to be in any specific order. It's just
mean,
your top 2.
Mine
thing
is
is-
in a specific order, though, actually.
The thing about the South is you get an iconic Jeff out of it. Jefferson Davis.
Yeah.
So I gotta count him as Jeff's doing things, you know?
Do you count Jeffersons as Jeffs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're part of the club, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty squarely like Union number 1 and then the Confederacy.
Me too, but that wasn't
Yeah.
the category. It was just
Okay.
your top 2.
You also
Well, then,
asked If you can think of one, an example of a weird or inappropriately timed joke.
Oh, I forgot I had asked that. Yeah, do you have an answer?
I had Danny Green at the Holocaust Museum where he said I had to just once in a selfie.
Why? What was he doing?
LOL.
Hit him with the LOL. Had to do it.
I didn't come up with one for that, but I did come up with one for the exaggeration category that you had.
Oh, shoot. I sent all kinds of stuff I didn't ask you.
Yeah, the exaggeration one, you said like a crazy exaggeration that we could think of. And I thought of Kim Jong-un saying that he golfs an 18 every time he goes golfing. Like, gets a hole-in-one on every single golf course.
He's so good at golf.
Yeah.
And bowling, too. He's really good at bowling.
Yeah, gets a 300.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, the best that ever did it.
Kind of like golf. Pillsbury. He's like the Pillsbury Doughboy a little bit.
Kind of.
I always, whenever I see him, I start wanting to eat croissants.
Like poke his stomach and see if he giggles.
Yeah. Do you think he probably giggles? He seems like a giggler.
Giggles.
Like even the most evil people in the world, I think, or from time to time, they are known to giggle, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Unless there are any other categories I neglected to remember and ask about, I'm done talking.
All right.
Thanks, Mike. Great.
Sure.
Quick plug. Those of you who listened to our Roar episode with David Desmalchin, one of our favorite episodes ever. So fun having him on. We did do a Roar review on our Patreon and our Grizz Club. It was really fun. We actually dove into the movie itself and had a pretty goofy time with it. I had a lot of fun recording that episode. And then we did a Roar watch party with our Discord audience, which if you join Patreon or Grizz Club, you can get access to our Discord. And there's a really fun community on there. We had a really fun time talking with them while we watched that movie. So just one of the many perks to Patreon. We've been running that now for 4 years. There are hundreds. I would say there's probably 100 to 200 hours of extra content on there now, if not more. There's more than that. So you get access to all of that for $10 a month. That price has remained constant throughout our history, and we're planning on keeping it the same. So there you go. All right. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you.
See ya.
Bye.